I'm Madison Tolson, this is Trevor Redner, Ryan Twohey, Ciara Volkov, and Eric Zanchi. So our budgeted amount was $36,500, and we ended up spending a total of $24,573.20. So we were significantly under budget. That's good. And then we're going to talk about exactly what we bought. Okay, so project name, Project Scranton, ID is PR000867, and then we started on March 19th, 2013, and we finished on April 19th. Our project goal is to provide a new fully functional lab for Scranton High School. Our project roles were Ryan Twohey is our IT manager. Project management core team was Trevor Redner and Eric Zanchi. Project director Ciara Volkov. Business manager is myself, Madison Tolson. And then sponsor Michael Horan. It's not you.
The new lab we have will include 40 PCs with Windows 7 and wireless network cards for all of them. We also got a Microsoft Office open license. We will have 2 servers with Windows 2008 and a monitor and a keyboard and mouse for all those. 2 routers, 4 switches, a UPS, 10 circuit protectors, cabling as well as access points, and a laser printer, and a projector and a screen.
Then Ryan Twohey over here designed our network, so let's explain that.
This is the network design we went with. It's slightly overkill. We could have put a lot more computers with individual APs, but the way we went with this is it allows greater expansion. It allows, if something goes wrong, we're able to move things over to other networking devices. Our backbone is wired for more stable and secure backbone, but once you hit the server and AP level, and then furthermore the computers, we went with wireless, which allows us to expand to other parts of the school cheaper and more quickly if we need to.
So that's essentially most of the information about the lab. We added things like printers and projectors since this is a classroom environment. So we felt that those things would help enhance the curriculum as well as the PCs. And then we went with the backbone that would allow it to expand more greatly since they might expand the school, and there were also hitches such as adding the computers, which would allow them to add more if we need to in the future.
And in the packets there's our financial planning and our completion plan, as well as pictures of all the objects we bought and their prices.
Okay, I was just going to quickly run over exactly like basically our day-to-day and like what we planned out and any changes we had to make to that plan. To start with, we just started really looking up which devices we were going to purchase, which, as you can see, research is what we called it, and then computers, printers, and projectors we all did one day, and it only took that first, as stated, 2 hours on the first day, and then we decided to look for servers next, and then such and so forth under researching to figure out which exactly we wanted. Next we did purchase and shipping, and to try and be expedient with our setup, and knowing that we had plenty of budget, we decided to do overnight shipping so that we could get all the pieces when as fast as we could. Started, which is we then had to make our first change, which change request forms in here somewhere. The first change we had to make was we needed I think it was five more PCs, so we bought we went ahead and ordered 5 more desktops and monitors and licenses, 5 more licenses. And then we started installation that following day after the overnight shipping. We just as we did research and purchasing, we installed in the same order with computers, printers, projectors, then routers and switches, then cabling, and such and so forth. Next, we started up the verification process of making sure everything was up to date and current, and then after we reaffirmed that it was all ready to go, we started testing to make sure that our network could withstand the bandwidth that would be needed for the students to use in the classroom. And then after we established that it could, in fact, do what it needed to do, we started reviewing to make sure that everything was in check, that our budget was finalized, and that we didn't miss anything, and that all of our numbers were squared away. And really, the other alert that we got about the cheerleaders' room being off, not open because they were in practice, and the electricity being off wasn't too big of a problem, because we just made sure that we were doing something that either didn't require the electricity, and since we were doing wireless, we didn't necessarily need to be in the cheerleaders' room that day. So we tried to just work around those so we didn't have to change too much.
Those projects Scranton.
Very good.
Thank you.
Presentation is outstanding. This is very good use of everything we gave you. The network diagram is very solid. I like the thought effort you put into that. And you're the first in any years that we've ever done this to actually design a Wi-Fi network that seems very feasible and expandable. So that's really impressive. I do like also that you included license costs for Office and some other things here. I noticed your server quoted included Server 2008 foundations. A lot of times we see people don't include the really expensive part of the project, which is the software. Generally, that takes up more than the hardware itself. What did you guys learn about working together, and what were some of the methods and tools you used to collaborate on the project?
Well, I think a big part of it was it really helped us to get together after school and stuff like that, so that we could all sit down together and talk about what we were doing, and it helped to divide up into certain tasks. Like, I managed a lot of the budget, and Ryan designed the network and things like that, so that we were all specializing as opposed to just doing everything at the same time. And I think that really helped each of us focus on a particular thing and help us get it done.
Okay. How did you decide your areas of specialization? Were you able to, or what methods did you use to break out the work into different areas?
Mostly, we all just kind of gravitated towards a certain area, and we basically just kind of started deciding what we wanted to do, and it all ended up working together. So.
Personally, I chose designing the whole network side because that's what I'm more comfortable with theoretically. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I noticed you have plenty of money left over. That's good. I think we need to make this when we initially did this challenge a while back, things were a lot more expensive.
We tried to do a lot of hunting to keep the price down, since we knew that this was a school and it had limited budget for things. So.
Very good. Did any of your did you include warranty coverage on any of your?
I think the servers have warranties on them, as well as two other others.
I purchased warranty for the access points.
Okay. And then your cost of labor, was that included? Did you, or who actually did the work? The installation support. And
we decided with the time frame that we had, we could have easily done that ourselves, so the cost of labor was a non-issue.
We also took into account that since it is a high school, they may have also had a technology area, so we could say that also some of the students may have taken interest in helping to build the lab. Because I know, here we do a lot of stuff like that, where if there's something going on in the school, we take part in it.
Well, I just want to echo what he said about the documentation. It's phenomenal. That's what my department handles with the documentation, and I harp on it every day. So, that looks great. The only thing that I would like to see more on is the actual specifications of the backbone.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be extremely important since you're utilizing wireless. In a classroom setting, the bandwidth is insane. So if the backbone isn't there to support it, you're going to have issues. But everything looks great.
in the network design, one more quick question. In the network design, did you consider where you would run core network services such as DNS, Dhcp, and those sorts of things?
Yes, that would be in a secured location with like where the modem is that the ISP provided us with, so the students couldn't possibly mess with that somehow.
Okay. So your modem would take care of name resolution and IP address assignment. Okay. Very good. Thanks.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank you.
I am the Executive Project Manager for our group Syntax Error, and this is our Humana Project Management Challenge. And here's Tyler Keel to tell you more about our group.
Josh? Hello, my name is Tyler Keel, and if you can flip to the first page of your booklets today, we'll go over the overview of the staff involved with our project. First, we have our CIO, Shayne Hemminger. He is in charge of communications between the project manager, the school's principal, and the IT manager on any concerns or problems that arise during the project. Next, we have our executive project manager, Joshua Woosley. He is in charge of overseeing both the IT manager and the network architect, as well as approving or disapproving any decisions with the CIO. Next, we have our IT manager, David Jackson. I apologize. He is in charge of overseeing all network installation, as well as reporting any problems or concerns to our CIO. Next, we have our network architect, Evan Walsh. He is in charge of designing as well as also implementing the network in the classrooms. And lastly is myself, Tyler Keel, the task manager in charge of communications with the contractors as well as supervision of the contractors. And next we'll have Evan Walsh discuss the materials in our project.
Thank you for that, Tyler. Alright, so if you will please turn to your research tab in our pamphlet. So as you can see, first off we have a chat with our Absolute Networking Systems, who is our contractor. And then if you go to the next tabs, you can see the invoices for our purchase from Newegg Business, which included our desktops, which are Lenovo all-in-ones. They have both the mice and the keyboards included with them. And also any network equipment we needed, which was various cabling, some switches, and anything else that goes with that generally. Our servers, we researched them at the Western Digital main site and then bought them off of jr.com. And they are two 16 terabyte file servers, which we plan to implement. Alright, so next up is Shayne Hemminger talking a bit more about the budget.
Thank you. So if you look to the budget tab, you can see that we spent less than we were allotted. We managed to save money on the servers, which were inexpensive yet high quality file servers. We were forced to reallocate that money to purchase the remaining desktops when we had to buy 5 more. We spent nearly all we were given for both the network and also on the contracting. Now here's Josh with a little more about what we had to do.
Thank you, Shayne. So if you turn to the planning tab in the pamphlets, you can also see how we went through day to day on how exactly we would have to get the whole site installed and ready to go. As you can see from the first week, it is all mainly research and getting all the supplies needed for the site. The second and third week is mainly all implementation for the site. It's everything to go from when the contractors come on site to when they leave. And then the final week is mainly just for confirmation with the site to be sure everything is running and everything's working good. And as you can see, the one provided is our final project plan. We did have to adjust it according to the hitches given to us, which we actually did finish a few days early after the hitches and before the hitches. So kind of go more in depth into the complications with our project will be David Jackson.
Thank you, Josh. Now if you turn to the tab of complications, you can see basic paperwork explaining what the complication was in our solution to it. The first complication wasn't so much an issue on networking, it's more an issue about funding. In order to purchase the same quality of computers, we decided to used the excess funding from the servers and reallocated them into buying the same exact computers ordered for the classrooms, and we just paid a little bit extra for the faster shipping so they can get there the same day as all the others. Now the second hitch was the main problem of our design, as in we had to reorganize our planning. So in order to do that, we decided to, on the first week of the project, survey the site and fully implement the backbone of the school to the classroom from the MDF. And then the second, third week, we finished the horizontal cabling, finished setting up the, and then finally the last week we do testing. And as you can see by the plans, we finish 3 days early in case further complications arises. Are there any questions?
Sure. Thank you. You want to go first? Oh, okay. Well, great job on the presentation, guys. I really like how you all traded off and talked about each of your areas independently and had it very well outlined. One thing I really like to see in presentations and documentation is a good outline, so you can see very quickly from the top level where you're going and what you have left. So congratulations on that. The documentation is also very well put together and looks very nice. One thing you did I haven't seen yet anybody do is you included all the costs of all of the networking gear. I mean, you even have the patch panels in here. That's really nice that you were able to stay under budget and include all of the physical network design elements that really a lot of people tend to leave out. So that's really good. Yeah, I haven't seen that at all. So that's very nice to see. I have a question about your server. Have you accounted for any licensing, like the server operating system or client access licensing? Would it be necessary?
The servers, it said that they came with Windows Server file system or file server installed.
Okay. Great. Yeah.
I got a question on that. How did you guys decide, or what process did you use to decide to go with a file server, like a network attached storage device, rather than a traditional server?
We figured that a network attached storage would be more readily accessible from each individual workstation, as well as the fact that they were high quality and had lots of space.
And in addition, it would be much easier for any administrator on the school grounds to be able to manage the server rather than a full-blown server operating system. They just have to deal with the file part of it because that's all they required.
And kind of on the same note as for software, on the workstations, they come with Windows 8, but what about an Office suite? What comes with the workstation is not a fully licensed version.
If you kind of look in the plan that we have with it, we do have a note kind of near the bottom on the implementation for our Windows deployment system, which we do have kind of a, it might take an extra day for us to implement any additional software for them. So, and we do leave that up to the site unless they have their own license that they wanted to install, but we do have our own image that we would have for our company for their site if they required it.
Just some questions about your team and how you work together. What tools or methods did you use to stay in communication with one another and coordinate your efforts throughout the project?
One of the main ones we used was a software called TeamViewer, which allowed us to have almost a remote desktoping to where we had all of our files, all of our information on one computer, and then everyone would basically share that screen and we could make notes, we could talk. It supported voice over IP and camera, so that was an easy way for us to keep in contact over distance. We also met in like Starbucks in person to make sure that we all had the most updated version of it. We worked in Mr. Coomes' room to make sure that everything that we had was all up to date. We were all on the same page.
How did you decide who would do what, or whose specialties were going to go into what parts of the project?
Well, we just kind of thought on what our strengths were. Where Evan is great at understanding the best way to route, especially when it comes to networking. I know Tyler here is good at keeping everyone in line, so we figured he'd be great at helping with the contractors. And of course, David is always very organized, so it's a perfect match for him to be able to relay any information to anyone in the above tier of our company. But it all seemed to work pretty seamlessly.
One last question for me, and of course you guys may have some more. Where did you place on your network core networking services such as DNS, Dhcp, and file system authentication services? Where would those exist?
Those would all be in the MDF. If the school is with the modem, it should go through the district's level and through the ISP.
Okay. Yeah, you had a cabinet. That's the first one of those I've ever seen. Very good.
We'll have to keep it organized.
Yeah. I've asked before, what are you going to stack it all on the floor or something? All right, very good job, guys.
What was the most difficult portion of this project for you? Not technically, but coming together as a team.
I would have to say just communication, because we all had different things going on. Most of us were working, so we had to meet at like 6 o'clock at Starbucks and just work together, or go online, go on TeamViewer, share documents through that, and just talk together.
The other thing is like actual distance. I live in J-Town, where a lot of these people live more locally, so we would either have to find a more central location to where I wouldn't have some sort of long drive and they'd have to wait, or just find a more centralized location.
Yeah, it definitely took a lot of planning as far as when we would be meeting and when we would discuss on what we wanted to get completed on each day-to-day.
Very good.
Good job, guys.
My name is Brent Renninger. Our idea for the scenario of creating the classroom is, instead of doing the conventional idea of getting 40 desktops and networking them together, we get 40 desktops and connect them to a server and create a virtual client desktop environment. And with the new features of Server 2012, we'd use the Hyper-V server part, and you can create a one-to-one server ratio with your computer, so that when they log on to their computer, they can just click and remote desktop into their server. And this would be a lot easier on your upgrading of servers, because all of your processing would be done server side, so that you don't have to upgrade client machines as much. And also, when we budgeted for our client machines, we made sure that they'd also be able to run Windows 7, so in case that Hyper-V server does go down, you could still run apps off the local machine. We also found 2 centralized 8 terabyte file servers to work together for file server purposes, and we also took the new idea of having a server as our firewall instead of a actual box. And with this server firewall, we can do a lot more management of the firewall, as in blocking other stuff. And on the Hyper-V server, we'd also have a virtual server for Windows deployment services, so we can image all the machines if needs be.
Yeah, the details of what we used is we used a Dell PowerEdge R910 for our Hyper-V server. This was by far the most expensive part, rounding out around 10 grand, but considering it's in charge of all of the clients, it is far worth it. We have 2 PowerVault NX 3200 file servers, which we've gotten with RAID 1 to ensure redundancy in case there is a problem with it. And the file servers have 8 terabytes of hard drive space each, which should provide enough room for 40 clients in the classroom setting. We have 40 HP DX7200 client machines. They are very classroom-based computers. They are not great, but we planned for them in case we need to replace one. They're easy to replace. You just put it in, image it, and you're all good to go. With that, we got an MSDN subscription to allow us to purchase software easily for $500 a year, which is worth it when you're doing an imaging setup like this. And we have an HP ProLiant DL3880 routing and firewall server. This server is dedicated to routing and firewall purposes exclusively, and since it's a server, the firewall is conventionally more stronger than a typical firewall would be. Also, it being a router and a firewall takes multi-purposes it and takes a lot of pressure off of our budget.
As far as our budget goes, as you can see, we spent the most on the Hyper-V server, processor from Dell. All the computers together was only about half the price of the Hyper-V server because, of course, they're clients off the server. There's no need to have really expensive hard drives and such. So the monitors will separate price themselves at about $2,500. The two file servers ended up being about $10,000, more or less around where the Hyper-V server was at. But once again, their task is quite difficult, and it's important we have stable machines to do that. The server rack we got off of eBay, $300, nothing big. The routing server, $200. You know, it was a lot of the other expenses were very low, and so if there was with these lower priced devices, if there was something to go wrong, it's not to break the bank if you are required to replace it. Disposability was big when we were doing this entire project, and as far as choosing devices we were going to use, we had Cat6 cable at 5390 for the cable ends for 5390 for 100. Then at the bottom you see the Microsoft DreamSpark subscription, which is the MSDN at $500. We also had to count in the labor for 5 people, which we went ahead and paid $96.50 an hour, which came out to be almost $5,000.
96
or 96 and a half hours, I'm sorry.
The estimate we received on the labor was from ourselves willing to do this because we feel that this is a simple enough setup that we could set up. We don't see a need to get a corporate manager at $50 an hour to do all this. At 5 people working at once at around $10 an hour, this could realistically be set up well under the labor budget.
Then we also went ahead and put into the budget through all outlets, the punch downs. Of course, we made sure we had the cable. And then at the end, we ended up being under budget with our final cost being $35,171.13.
Alright, so strengths of this is scalability. You can add computers in and take them out whenever you want as you just image them, and then you just put new classrooms and image that. And cost effective, the computers are really cheap. You don't have to buy another server. You're just making them dial into the old server. So you're just buying like $200 computers and monitors and all that.
Alright, the easy maintenance. It's really easy to image a machine in case there's a problem with it off of the Hyper-V server. And we went with machines that weren't high-end, and they were also, but they weren't low-end either. And that way, if the server did go down, we would have a machine to boot to where people could still get work done.
Yes. Alright, idea is quite innovative. Dell has a desktop as a service protocol out there, but the way they have it set up is you have to dial into the server, and if the server's down, your whole network's down, which creates a problem. So we use Hyper-V, which is free with Server 2012, to bring this new idea of a redundant desktop idea.
Yes. There is redundancy. We have two separate file servers instead of one large file server in case there's a problem with one, then we can just switch over to the separate file server. Performance would go down until the original file server is repaired, but this network can stand alone on a single file server at 8 terabytes of hard drive space. For the security aspect, our server that is dedicated as a firewall and router acts as almost a proxy for all the machines to go out. The machines are not going out to the internet on their own. They're going through this server to access anything. That way you can ensure that you have all the ports blocked if necessary on the firewall. Nothing's coming in you don't need. But the way it's set up, there will not necessarily be a lot of need for the internet unless they're having to do some kind of research, because everything's stored locally as well.
Alright, some weaknesses. Prone to server crash, since we only have the one Hyper-V server. That could go down, but as I said before, we can log on the local machines. It will be slower, but it still works. And high amount of local bandwidth. They got all these computers logging onto one server. You can still put a cap on it and try to make that even out a little more.
Yeah. Are there any questions?
Documentation. Where are the rest of your documents?
We sent that to you. We presumed it was printed out for y'all. Was it not?
Oh, the zip file.
Oh, it's in the zip file. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We sent that all out with.
Yeah.
We sent all the pieces that we get, the pictures, the estimates. We sent out the work schedule, the budget, everything. Even the PowerPoint was sent out in that zip file.
Okay. I'll take a look at that.
Included in it, do you have your network design?
Well, we've tried to explain to you. If you want me to draw it up here,
No, I'm just asking.
Oh, okay. We don't have an actual picture. We was describing it.
But if needed, we can make that quite simple and have it to you by the end of the day.
We
if you'd like.
are planning for a very scalable project here. So the network design, it has a lot of open ends to it. It can be in any kind of shape you want it to be, any kind of organization. But we felt that ability to customize the network design was a really large plus side to us.
Right, it is. Right. My primary concern is with the backbone. When you're doing something like Hyper-V, it is going to eat bandwidth like crazy.
Yes.
So you've got to have a very, very beefy backbone. A lot of redundancy in that ring to protect that. But as far as doing the presentation, you did a good job. The only thing I would add is when you're doing a presentation like this, you're generally going to be, not in this particular case, but you're going to be speaking to people that have no idea what we're talking about. So you're going to want to have all that documentation spelled out, so there's no question this is what we're going to do. Because a lot of times the guys sitting here are just the guys that are signing the check, but they want to have a thorough understanding of where their money's going.
I will say I've never seen anybody use a virtualization strategy in this project before.
Yeah,
that's pretty innovative.
We researched. When I originally thought of the idea, didn't realize that there was actually a desktop as a service, and then when I started researching it, I was like, Dell kind of cut to the chase. But I mean, if you actually do that, you have the critical point of if the server goes down, your whole network's down.
How many cores did your PowerEdge R10 910 server have?
It had 4 processors at 4 cores each.
So 16 total cores?
Yes.
Okay. And
we had like 128 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, 128 gigs. Total of 16 terabytes for the file servers.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys, question I had, you guys had mentioned you have your Hyper-V server here. You have 2 file servers, and you mentioned a firewall server. Is it virtualized?
It's on the Hyper-V server.
The Hyper-V.
If you look lower, it should be down here. Routing server.
Okay, that's your
under networking. Yeah.
Okay.
That's our firewall. It's a HP ProLiant DL380. We chose a G4 because it's the lowest DL380 that's 64-bit, so you could run the newest server 2012, or you could run server 2008. It makes it still able to work on a network environment because it's
part of the goal was when we created this was we want to make everything flexible. You never know what's going to happen. You never know when something's going to go down. With this, we can do anything is possible just about.
Yes.
So
and regarding the client machines, if there was physical hardware damage or something that could not be repaired, like like some kind of broken motherboard or something terrible that's happened. They are very, as a standalone machine, they are pretty cheap, and you can just replace the hardware pretty easily and image it without many problems. There isn't any kind of high-end computers. These are being used by students.
So they're a zero client PC?
They're not a zero client.
They don't
It's $100 for the machine, and then you log onto the machine and it remote desktops into it. Because if you used a zero client machine, if the server goes down, that goes down. So that's why we use an actual machine.
Okay, so it's a full PC, just a low cost PC.
Yes.
Okay.
I do like you included the wall outlets, punch downs. A lot of people leave out the physical network here.
Yes, we thought of all of estimated the hours.
Yeah. The
And like
one thing I felt was really left out on the project side, I wish there was a building layout, because I could have actually set it up a lot easier.
We didn't know how
very
much.
helpful.
We didn't know the size of the room or how much cable we would need because of that. So we rounded up to a lot, if I recall. It's better to have a lot of it and make a couple mistakes than not enough.
All right. Well, it's very innovative, and haven't seen anybody be so ambitious. So very good job on that.
Yeah.
So great job, guys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right.
Is he a sophomore? Their class of 2014 just got disqualified. The freshman float was bad. Candy mob. All right. Well, the good news is that the freshmen are guaranteed third place now because the sophomores got disqualified. Since the rule was you could only have 4 people. So, although Mr. Heike said that was pretty good, so it takes all kinds. And there was free guns. Class of 2013. Your psychiatrist, actually. And after explaining value